Hi. I accidentally clicked out of the
30
countdown. Yep. Leave it to me. Hi, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining today. I am joined here with Edvin from Smart Pots.
Hey, garden friends. Nice to be here.
Yeah, we are here in actually my backyard. We are, we were going to go through and we're going to get a bunch of irrigation set up. And Edvin is the master of it, is what I say.
I wouldn't say the master of it, but like I was telling Carrie, I definitely know how to get the job done, get water from one place into the garden. It's the perfect day. It's a nice sunny day in Oklahoma, breezy, I believe it or not.
It
right?
is, yes.
Yep. But the water has seceded or receded,
Yeah.
and we're here to get some gardening done.
Yeah, it'll be fun. But thank you, Edvin, for joining us today. So, for those of you new, welcome. My name is Carrie. My husband Dale and I are the creators of the Seed to Spoon app. We started gardening back in 2000 and I always forget the date, 15, I think it was around there. And here, I'll pull up pictures real quick so you guys can see. So whenever we first started, it was absolutely nothing except for the one little 4x8 raised bed that we had. And then over the course of 2 years, we went from that to, see if it'll pull up. There's one. Yay. Over just the course of like 2 years. I think it's 2015, and then this one went right here was 2017. So through the course of doing all that, we had a huge learning curve, and neither one of us had ever gardened before. So we had to learn everything as we were going through, and we're like, there really needs to be an app for that. So we decided that we would create one. So, and here we are today with you all. So that's we started using Smart Pots like right away, within like a year or two, and see more and more and more. So I have two sides of our garden. So this is side of the garden right here is a wooden raised bed, and then in front of us I actually have a whole bunch of stuff with more of these cattle panel arches right here. But I also have Smart Pots right here along the back of this fence line. We use Smart Pots everywhere.
Yeah, we just needed we needed to find a shady spot in the garden, because definitely, a couple feet out there in the sun, and we would have probably lasted maybe not even 10 minutes.
Oh my gosh, I know. I was already sweating, so because it's actually really hot, and I'm not used to this heat. So, and that being said, neither are the plants.
Yes.
So we have had just unseasonably wet year this year. And so the plants are really used to having a lot of moisture and all of that. Wow, from Alaska, 44 degrees.
That's like half of what we're at right now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, so our plants are all really used to the cooler weather and moisture and all that, just like we are. So I try to keep that in mind, and especially on weeks like this, where I know it's like a lot hotter than normal, I will keep in mind and water my plants more. So even yesterday, Dale was actually saying, hey, we need to make sure that we're out there watering our plants every day this week, because it's just going to be really hot real fast. So yeah, here we are.
Very quick. And I know me, I know for a fact I'm not going to be out there in our 115 degree weeks watering twice a day. So that's why I definitely install drip irrigation. It's definitely the way to go. Every beginner gardener who asks me what's the way to succeed, definitely installing drip irrigation or some way of automatically watering your garden. Just like you guys, did with the PVC. Just any form other than you standing out there is going to be so much better. Trust me. And with Amazon, with garden centers, there's so many ways to do it. I don't think there's a wrong way to do it.
Yeah. So I will say too, if you do have to stand out there and hand water, I try to do it first thing in the morning too. Yeah. Because it won't be quite as hot out there, first of all. But two, if you're hand watering or if you're doing sprinkler watering, there's nothing wrong with that. Most of the time, like I actually grabbed this sprinkler. I just got water all over me.
This thing is tried and true.
So yeah, I actually grabbed this sprinkler from the end of our hose because this is what we're using right now. And there's nothing wrong with doing some overhead watering if you need to. I always say just water your plants, it's
Yeah.
best. But you do want to be careful about anything like powdery mildew and things like that, because whenever or disease transfer too, especially I get real careful about it whenever we have things like tomatoes and all of that. But that being said, whenever I'm overhead watering like that and using one of those sprinklers, I just do it first thing in the morning and let it dry out during the day. So that way it's not sitting wet overnight. That's where you typically will get the issues like the powdery mildew and things like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I would say it's probably true for any type of watering. Get it done in the morning. You
Mm-hmm.
save on evaporation. It's just so much better to just get it done in the morning
Ooh.
or late at night. Definitely on those 100-degree weeks, we're watering twice a day.
Yes, yes. Oh, I meant to grab a kiddie pool. So I will say this is one of my really funny watering hacks that I did want to make sure that I mentioned is I have just these kiddie pools like that I get from Dollar General. And so they're super cheap but they do the job. They work so well. And I grab all of these little smart pots that I have and I set them in the kiddie pool and fill it up with a little bit of water, and it just works so well. And on really hot days, if you are going to be busy at work or anything like that, it's really nice to just go and fill the bottom of this kiddie pool, and then you're good to go for the day. It's amazing hack
Yeah,
right
I
there.
mean, I think that's probably the easiest, simplest way of automated watering. I thought I had brought which pretty much a kiddie pool idea, but
Yes.
on a smaller scale. I thought I had brought a deeper saucer, but a lot of like my 1 gallon, 2 3 gallon pots that I have even growing in my office, or like for the tiny Tim tomatoes, I just set them inside what is a deep saucer, and water the saucer, and smart pots through capillarity will suck up the water, and you're pretty much be able to water plants just like that. So one thing that I have set up and what I brought to show you guys in my office is actually this is a small solar panel water pump, and you can find these on pretty much on Amazon. There's also a brand called Rainbird. They also do things just like this and super simple. So it has, you can see, an in outlet and an out outlet. So for the in outlet, I pretty much just have it sitting inside of a recycled 1 gallon jug of sweet tea, and I fill that up with water. And these timers, they have an app you connect it to your phone, and you can set, to water once a day. I actually have it set up on some houseplants, so I have it, I think, every other day for about 10 15 minutes. And then the outlet, I put inside of that deep saucer, and yep, it just automatically waters, and um, you know consistent watering helps with all types of plants. So that's something super super simple that you can do on a small scale, all the way up to custom pumps, or just connecting right to your hose line. So there's many ways of doing it. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about several different ways that we go through, and there's so many of them too. I did get a great question here from Charity. She says, question about transplanting. How long do plants need to be hardened off? So generally, I will say I bring them out here, and I have a bunch of them actually on the other side of this bed. I have a whole lineup of a bunch of different plants that I brought out, and I generally will harden them off over a course of around a week or so. And I do this like on the first day, I do it just for like an hour or two. And I make sure that it gets like partial shade if possible. I try to find a nice like protected area. Sorry, the wind is really blowing the tree. um, I try to find a nice protected area where it can get a little bit of shelter because it's not used to the outside wind and sun and all of that. So gradually over the course of at least a week, I go through and get them transplanted out. So yeah, and during that time, you do want to make sure that you're introducing them to watering too, and because whenever they're inside, I only water from below. So whenever I bring them outside, I actually do start to kind of water them from the top too, just to kind of get them introduced to that idea as well. So yeah. So great question. Oh, can you show a smart pot?
I know that's one thing we don't have. And then
I do have one. It that is carryable. Yeah, you might be able to find one over there. Yeah, you can grab any of those. Um, But oh, I do want to mention too. I know we have that scroller going on the bottom, but I do want to mention too that you guys are every time that you comment into the chat, you guys are entered in to win a free 1-year premium Seed to Spoon app subscription, as well as a smart pot of your own. Woo! It's exciting. So yeah, this is one of our smart pots. This is one of our purple ones. I love, love, love them. They're especially these colored ones. I really like the purple ones. Are my very favorite ones. So this one right here doesn't have anything in it yet. We haven't gotten around, like I said, I have all of my plants that are hardening off. I'm actually going to be transplanting today, tomorrow, because I mean, they're ready to go now at this point. I had to wait a little bit longer than normal because of all of the rain and flooding that we had here in our garden. But we are going to be transplanting here very, very soon. Yes, they definitely are. Yes, and yep, I have a bunch, and you can kind of see them too. I have a lineup. These are actually all of my potatoes that I have back here in smart pots. So I'm trying. It's like I'm trying to show where they are, but yeah. But we have a bunch of a lineup of a bunch of different smart pots. There you go. Yeah. But yeah, we have a bunch of them right there that are planted out with a bunch of potatoes. I have a whole wall of potatoes right there. And then we have right here, it's one of my favorite beds, strawberries.
Yes, that's an amazing bed. As soon as I walked in, I was like, you have a lot of strawberries.
Yes, yes. We need to go through and harvest them and take some with you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's really excited about smart pots. Yes, I definitely agree. The handles make grabbing them and moving them around so much easier too, especially with these potatoes that I have right here. It is the only way that I will grow potatoes now because it's so easy. I just take and dump it out. You can actually see like I have this wagon right here that I just take one of those smart pots, I dump it out into there, and then we just dig through and find the potatoes. So
actually, on the smart pot, well, on your page, on the From Seed to Spoon page as well, but on the smart pot Instagram and Facebook, there's a video of you and your kids harvesting one out.
Yeah,
like 1.6 million views. So definitely check it out. It's amazing. I mean, it's like was bigger than their head.
It was so large. I always joke. I'm like, that's a baby because we weighed it and it was like almost 7 pounds.
Oh wow!
And I was like, oh my gosh, that one was a sweet potato. It was Georgia Jet, I want to say.
Wow.
So I'm like, I am definitely planting the Georgia Jet sweet potatoes again, and because they were actually really good too.
I know somebody else is thinking it. Do you know about how long it took from planting it to harvesting it?
I don't remember. I'd have to look back because I have videos of planting it and harvesting it, so I'd have to look back. But we harvested it last fall. It was actually on Halloween that we harvested it. So I mean,
so was it through summer or did you start it like July? Okay, nice.
Yeah. We started it in the summer. Oh, it looks like so. Dale popped up a link there for it, so you guys need to check that out. It's really fun. Okay. Oh, well, we're talking real quick about strawberries. How do you keep the birds from eating your strawberries? You know what? I actually haven't noticed the birds over there at all, but I do have, so right behind, so this is our bedroom back here, and I have a bird feeder like right outside of our bedroom, and I have a whole bunch of bird feeders and things like that right there because I love to watch them all the time, like when we're over there. And so I think I just have them trained to eat over there and not over here. So same with the squirrels, because the squirrels have been stealing from the bird feeder, but I'm like, as long as you stay out of the garden, I'm cool with it. You go for it. Yep. Let's see. I saw a good question right here. Can you put flowers in smart pots? Absolutely. I mean, you can put anything and everything in them. I do. Like, I literally grow everything. I mean, between herbs, tomatoes, peppers, root crops, flowers.
And I saw you,
Yeah.
Mo, you were in Chicago. So even for small space gardening, they're perfect for that. You can move around, bring them inside over the winter. If you have like a garage, you can do strawberries year round. Just bring inside when that snow hits.
I see this. Sherry, you are not alone. I mean, I'm really happy that you're here with us because um, this is a great community and everybody in the chat is super helpful too. Like they pop in super helpful tips. So I'm even always learning things. I love it here. So welcome, Sherry. And yeah, there's no problem with making mistakes because you learn from everything that you do. And sometimes the mistakes can be really good, actually. And you live and you learn. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Jessica, I'm sorry. I definitely feel you there. We had a lot of those issues. Um, let's see. Sorry, I'm going through the chat, making sure that I don't that I'm not missing anything. Oh yeah. So squirrels and dog eat strawberries. Dogs. Wow, I haven't had a dog eat my strawberries before. That's a first. I'm sorry. But so if you try the bird feeder thing, maybe that might help with the squirrel too. But I will say, well, you probably can't see. It's like right here. I have a motion activated sprinkler that is set up over there and hooked up. I had to turn it off before Edvin got here because I didn't want Edvin to get sprayed because I'm used to where to walk, but I knew he would get sprayed if I didn't turn it off. But I have a motion activated sprinkler and that helps a lot with all sorts of pests. So this might help too with your squirrels, your dog, cats, helps me with goats and chickens and all of that too. As you might have seen, I do have the goats and sheep that are out. They're circling the garden right now because we've been like going through and pulling a whole bunch of weeds. And every time I do that, I always throw everything over. And whenever I'm cleaning out beds, and they are just so excited every time. Okay. Okay. So oh no, I'm so sorry. Yeah, everybody makes mistakes for sure. Um so hopefully you can recover and hopefully you didn't pull all of your garbanzo beans. So I know that this is our first year to grow garbanzo beans too, and Dale was even asking, he's like, "Are these weeds?" I'm like, "Nope, nope, nope." Leave my garbanzo beans alone. So they do kind of look like that. So, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is a good tip from Natalie, too. You see, everybody has such great
Yeah,
tips in the
I've
chat.
seen that tip. Yeah.
Yeah. Plastic forks around the strawberry plants and keeps the squirrels and rabbits out of strawberries. So, yeah, I've heard that for sure. Now, for me, I'm not a fan of using a bunch more plastic because I actually made a video today because I am so tired of going through and picking up trash in the garden. And usually it's from the labels and things like that from the previous year as I'm getting ready to plant again. But I'm just so thankful that I have the Seed to Spoon app now because I have everything
Yep.
logged in the Seed to Spoon app. And I haven't made a single label this year, which feels incredible. So
I mean, one good rain or a wind, and they're gone.
oh my gosh. Well, and the kids would come behind me. And I mean, I say they weren't doing this on purpose, but like still, like my 2-year-old would come behind and she would just pick the labels up out of the garden and she'd be like, "Oh, this is fun." And then she would just go set it somewhere else. So I'm like, where did this label actually go? And oh my gosh. Yeah, it was
C2
always a
Spoon
disaster.
app is a dream.
It is. It definitely is. So definitely, if you guys don't have the app yet, definitely check it out and log everything in there. It has made my life so much easier. And you can go in there and log too when you watered last too, which is great, especially on days like this, whenever you are needing to be doing frequent watering. If you have a lot of heat coming in, you can go in and log that you watered on all of your plants. So yeah. Okay, there's that. So I do want to talk about, like, there's a bunch of different ways that you can go about watering. I know we talked a little bit about hand watering and overhead watering, sprinklers, all of that. I do want to mention before I forget too. Let me pull up a picture. So we had this. This was at our old house. This was up against one of our sheds. This was my favorite garden bed that we had this on. So this is a PVC watering system that we made ourselves, and it worked so well too. And this was one of my favorite ones. So up here at the very top, you can kind of see um, next to that blue rain barrel where there's like a little connector. So that's where we would either hook up a connection. If we had water in the rain barrel, we could connect it from there, which was just collecting from the gutters right there on our off our shed, or you could hook it up to a hose. Either way. So it worked amazing. And then throughout here, on each of those arms that came out on the raised bed, we had little holes that we drilled into it. I think we used like a really small one, like a 1/16th drill bit whenever we made it. And we just came in and we just drilled a bunch of little holes in there. And so that way, whenever we ran the water through, it would come through both sides. I have a lot of videos of it, like in action, like showing how it works on our YouTube and also our Instagram and all of that. But it works amazing. And this one especially was really cool because each of these end caps on all of our other raised beds, we just had the end caps on just to stop the water. But on these ones, we actually drilled a hole at the end. So that way it would come out and water each one of those smart pots. You see how the smart pots are kind of lined up against them too?
I like that.
Yeah. So each one of our smart pots was getting watered as well whenever we ran this. So this was one of my very favorite beds just because of that. It was so fun, and it was like unique how we were able to water both the raised bed as well as the smart pots that were sitting right there. It was really cool. So yeah, we had a lot of things like that set up throughout our garden before at our old house. And now Edvin is here today. We're going to be setting up some drip irrigation too. So
Got a lot of work to do.
we do. So yeah, you want to show us a little bit about?
We'll start, I guess, with the basics, just because I saw there's like a lot of new gardeners. Just like that little pump that I showed before. This here is an aquarium pump, an aquatic pump, or something you would find in like a pond. So it's just simple. It sits submersible, so you can sit this. They had a rain barrel. You can go something as simple as a bucket. So just whatever you're gonna have, water coming out of. Somebody asked about vacationing. We like to go out of town a lot, and we still have to water our garden. And the times you want to go out of town are usually the beautiful days that are sunny. So obviously that's when you're gonna have to water. So having a way that you're getting water to your garden is just peace of mind. So something, like I said, simple as this. And then what I would do, adding automation to it, is, so if you can go, to any store, basically Walmart, Amazon, buy a Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, plug, and plug this in, and that's how you would be able to control your watering. Can turn it on or off from pretty much anywhere in the world. You can be on
That'll be
vacation,
nice. Yeah.
click a button, and you're watering. So that's just a simple setup. So my thing to always remember is to be mindful of the amount of pressure, how many pots you're watering. So like something like this, you maybe want to do like one or two plants. This is good if you have just like a small garden, either like a small round raised bed, or just a smaller type of area, or if you have just one pot, if you have just like your delicate plant that you want to take care of. That's a good setup for that. Then you can move up. A lot of times, if you're in a suburb, you actually will have good water pressure, so you can connect it just right to your water hose. And then what I would do, so I have here, it's kind of like a simple setup of what I would do for my drip irrigation. So this is I believe this is a 1/2 inch line, so thicker inch line. So you could connect this, and you can go to any hardware store or any big box store, and they're going to have connectors for 3/4 inch to your hose. You connect that, and you can run. If you have good pressure, you can run a decent amount of beds through your garden. Like for example, like this one here, you could probably run 2 or 3 beds off of your hose pressure. There's also pressure increasers, so you can like pressure regulators as well if you need a little bit more pressure. So at my house, what I had is 4 12-foot smart pot beds.
I actually
And
have a picture. Let me pull it
oh,
up.
okay.
Here, I have a picture showing this one.
Yep, that one. So you can see the black line here at the bottom, and it was running this exact line here, and that was connected to a pretty powerful pump. I want to say it was a 2 or 3 horsepower pump, and that was connected to a big 300-gallon rain tote that just like your guys' that was collecting rainwater off for gutters. And then so that pump was electric, so I had that one set up to same thing, a wireless outlet, and it pretty much ran just once a day for 20 minutes, and that was enough for this whole garden. But keep in mind, so I had a higher horsepower pump, which is pushing more pressure, so it was easily able to run these lines. And then if you could take that picture off. So at the end of these, so you definitely don't want to have just your thicker line of drip irrigation. You don't want that to be running your water because that'll pretty much that'll take too much pressure away from running longer runs. So what they sell is emitters. So this is, I believe, a 1 gallon per hour emitter, and then this emitter is connected to just like a quarter-inch line, and then this is actually what I will go and actually lead down to the stem of a plant. So, for example, this would be the stem of a tomato, and so that tomato would get about 1 gallon per hour. So just like I was telling Carrie before this stream, everybody's drip irrigation system, in my opinion, is going to be completely different. Everybody's going to have different water pressure. Elevation is actually going to affect your water pressure. So somebody, I mean, living in Alaska, you're going to have a lot different water pressure, I believe, than we are here in Oklahoma, especially if you're in a well or something.
Yeah, we have a well here at our place, but in our old house we had city water, so
exactly,
it's going to be variable here, and we were very close.
Yep, and if you're on a well, I mean, water pressure can be, I mean, it's almost a luxury. So you don't want to, if you're running your drip irrigation and you want to take a shower, you might not have that same. It all depends. Everybody's different. So everybody always asks the question, well, how long do I run my drip irrigation? My opinion on that is to go out to your drip irrigation system, wherever you have your line out, and I would either set either a plastic Tupperware or a measuring cup, and just run it for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then that way you can kind of gauge how much water is coming out of your system, and then that way you can gauge however much water you're supposed to be watering for. It might be 30 minutes, it might be 10 minutes. I was running mine for I think I want to say 10 to 15 minutes in the morning, but I had a lot of water pressure coming, so there was a lot of water coming through those beds, and I had for some plants I had multiple emitters. So if I had like a basil and I wanted to keep it a much longer, I had 2 or 3 emitters going. Whereas like a tomato, I might. Well, I pushed my tomato, so I also had multiple emitters. For a lot of my plants, I did, but for the plants that I know that didn't need too much water, just one emitter was perfectly fine. And when we set yours up, we'll hopefully be able to explain a little bit more into depth. But I mean, everybody, I always see the comments. People are always so scared to start drip irrigation. It's honestly so simple, and you can even find, complete kits. I brought a kit here that I found on Amazon, and it's just called Drip Irrigation Kit. It comes with a complete manual. It comes with emitters, and I think it also came with the standard thread to connect it right to the hose, and that'll come with a reel of hose, and a bunch of emitters. And like I said, easiest way is just connect it to your hose. Just see how much water pressure you have. Just start off with 1 or 2 pots, and then kind of grow from there. The cool thing about all these all this drip irrigation equipment is the most part is it's all pretty standard. Most people have like a Walmart around them. You just go to Walmart. They have all this different emitters. I will say these types of emitters, these stake emitters, with like the adjustable valves on top, they did not work for me, to be honest with you. You would set them up and it would unset. So in my opinion,
that's been my experience. Whenever we did try to do this in the past, like we'd have like emitters, and they would like pop off,
yes,
and go flying. So that's been my experience. So that's why I'm like always hesitant. I'm
yes,
like,
if you are hesitant on shopping Walmart or shopping Amazon, Mr. Landscaper is a YouTuber and social media guy that I've seen. They're 100% made in the USA. They have all the same type of emitters. But yeah, in my opinion, I would just go with the standard um, emitters, the these kind that are not adjustable. So just find either a 1 gallon or 1.5 gallon, whatever works for you. These for me have worked the best. Um, so yeah.
Nice. Well, that, I mean, it doesn't sound too complicated when you explain it and show it like
It's
that.
really not
So,
complicated. It can like okay, so the pump that I brought down and carry, it's gonna be a little bit more complicated setup, but we have a lot of raised beds to
yes.
water, and my goal for it to get their system set up is to for them to be able to water, if not all, the majority of their beds, with one single switch.
Oh, that would be so amazing.
Which is I know you would think you look at this garden and you say that's a lot of square footage. We just get a more powerful pump, and we can get it done. So yeah, but it's just you can get as super simple, like I said, as super simple as a little single water pump. This one's solar, so I literally have this sitting in my office, and it does the thinking for me. I have like a I don't know if you guys saw the video. I planted a rare variegated alocasia in my office, and it's just been being fed off water off of this. And I just fill the 1 gallon water jug up, I think once a week, and keeps my house plants going.
Love that.
Yep, like I said, Rain Point. This is the brand that I know for sure. If you're looking for a super simple setup, Rain Point. This is a wireless setup. So this is great for just like a single couple pots. You can find this one I know for a fact on Amazon. And it honestly comes with everything you need. You just connect it to your Wi-Fi and to a water source, and you're pretty much good to go.
Great. Yeah, I've used soaker hoses in the past as well too.
Yeah.
Have you used those
Yeah,
often?
so I've used soaker hoses. That's another really great way to just get started and get going. And if you don't want to get into all the emitters, because there's a little bit of fittings and things you got to get put it together. The one thing about the soaker hose, and some of them are different. Some of them now they actually have it's spaced out, but some of the soaker hoses like the whole hose is soaking.
Yeah.
So you have to. It depends on your setup. So if you had just like this single bed here, if you just put like one strip running through like the whole bed, that would be perfect. So it just depends how much you have to water. So.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, I'm all for getting everything as automated as possible.
Yeah, and I know Dale's probably watching and he's like, "There's no way," or like he's probably like, "That'll sound amazing." So it'd be cool. We can get it done. I think we can.
Nice. Let's see. And like I said, if you guys have any questions too, pop them into the chat and I can pop them up too.
I think Jennifer has a good question. Oh, I think
Yep.
So is it okay to use 1/4-inch soaker hoses connected to your 1/2-inch tube instead of lines with emitters, which is pretty much what you asked? Yeah, that's perfectly fine. So the one thing you shouldn't have to like I said, when you first set it up, just either set like a measuring cup or just kind of look at how much water comes out per like either 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you should be perfectly fine with that. Because the soaker hoses, that's going to limit how much pressure you have. So with the soaker hose, you're not going to be able to do that long of a run. So just set it up and then just try it out. That's the biggest thing with drip is set it up, try it out. If you need to modify it, it's super easy to modify.
That's good to know. Yeah. Yes, I 100% agree. Like, it's definitely totally worth the effort, especially like right now before it actually gets super hot, at least here with us. I know there's a lot of places who already are super hot.
Yes.
Some places who are still cold. But right now, at least for us, is the perfect time to go about doing something like this before it gets too hot and our plants start struggling and we start struggling.
Yeah, if you saw that picture that Carrie put up at the beginning, that I put my drip in at the very, very beginning. I mean, I was filling my beds and I already had my drip irrigation system planned out because I knew that I was going to be lazy and did not want to go out and water in 115-degree weather, 98-degree weather.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, my mornings are busy and, the garden doesn't care. It still needs to get watered whether you're busy or not. So it's just so much easier to just have it set up at the very beginning. And that way you're not messing around with, all the foliage and breaking arms off. So, and also on automation, we're so fortunate technology has come such a long way. I mean, You can, I think at Walmart, like a 2 pack of like Wi-Fi switches is like less than $15 now.
Oh my
You
gosh,
can do
yeah.
stuff like that, or you can set it up. There's also so like if you're setting it up to your hose, there's actually timers that connect directly to your hose connection, and you can set the timer to run, based on the day or in the mornings, and they run off of just batteries, and they're just connected to your hose all the time. So whenever it's time to water, it just lets water out. So if you're connecting it to your hose connection, that's another good option to automate as well. It's just a timer. Those are available at everywhere, like Ace, big box stores as well. You'll find those rain timers.
Awesome. I see this question from Jackie. So I will call out too our PVC ones that we made.
Yeah.
Here, I'll pop up the picture real quick again in case you missed it. So this right here, I mean, it was extremely easy to make. All of this is just PVC piping that you can get in the plumbing section at like a Home Depot, Lowe's, and we just made the fittings line up perfect to our garden bed that we had right here. Added some end caps on the end. Now, on our regular raised beds, we had just the end caps, but right here we actually drilled holes in the ends, so it was watering our smart pots too. So you can do this however DIY you want to. Honestly, like there's a lot of things and lots of creative ways that you can go about making any.
Yeah,
Making
hey,
drip
I mean, if you
systems.
have old garden hose, I mean, some people just have it reeled up in their backyard. What you could do with that old hose, is take it just like drip line, set it out on your raised bed, and then just, either with a nail or with a drill hose directly into that hose, and those are your emitters. So the point is to
Love
just
it.
get, yeah,
Yeah.
the point is to just like Carrie's setup, just get water into your garden. So if you have old hose, or if you find cheap hose, just set it right directly in your beds, and drill holes wherever you want water coming out. That's a great simple DIY setup. If you're not like us trying to water multiple beds, that's going to take a lot of pressure. Just have one bed, just roll it up, and that'll definitely work as well.
I will say too, I saw a question earlier about the rain barrels too. And yes, we actually have multiple videos showing how we hooked up our rain barrel as well, like the whole setup and everything. It's actually my husband Dale that went through the entire walkthrough of how he got it all set up. Check out our YouTube channel. I I wish I knew what it was called, and I'll try to, whenever Edvin's talking, I'll try to pull up a link and I'll pop it into the chat so
Yeah,
that way
and I wish
you
I
guys
had
can
a
get it there.
picture of mine, but I'm pretty sure I found mine on Facebook Marketplace. But it was an IBC 325-gallon food tote. I found it for super. I think it was like $30. So I went to go pick
Yeah,
it up. Also, I wanted to point out, some local cities or ag extensions will also have like pick up your own like rain. They'll have pick up rain barrels. So they already had them set up like with the spouts installed. So you can pick those up. Some say they have for super low cost or for free. So check your local ag extensions or your local cities. Also, maybe call your local water company. Sometimes they also do projects like that where encourage gardeners to save water and save rainwater. So check those out as well.
yeah, we have a bunch of we've been collecting them ourselves because we use them all the time. Yes, I absolutely think you need to check it out. It's amazing, and I loved having them.
Yep.
Sure do, sure do.
Yeah, I think it's actually one of the I think it's the biggest Air Force base. I
Yeah,
think.
we live right next to Tinker
Yeah.
Air Force Base, and right in Oak, and well, in Dell City, so it's right there.
Yep.
We're always hearing airplanes.
Harry said he has one of the digital timers up there. Yeah, Harry,
Okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about, those digital timers. And I think
Yes.
he says his has 4 outlets, four outputs. So that one's great. If you had, for example, if you had 4 of these beds, you might not have enough pressure to run all 4 beds at the same time. But those timers with the 4 outputs, you can actually have it run one at a time. So it'll run your first bed, and then it'll close that valve off, run the second, and then the third and the fourth. So you're able to run multiple beds with those timers.
Nice.
And like I said, they're I think every day they're just becoming cheaper and cheaper, which
Yeah.
is good for us gardeners. And
Yes.
like I said, I know some that actually run off of. I know most of them run off of the AA batteries, but some you can actually recharge with USB-C. And
Huh.
yeah.
Interesting. I'm very, very sorry, Jessica.
Oh yes. Okay.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah, I've even forgot about this. I
Yeah.
do know this is a thing, and when I moved, because I moved from Midwest City, which is right around here, to Oklahoma City, which is a much bigger city, and there's a lot more urban. So I thought, the first thing I did when I switched over and we were setting up our new water utility, I asked the company, I asked them just, hey, are we able to set up a rain barrel? And she, in Oklahoma, I don't know, she kind of almost laughed. She's like, nobody's ever asked that before. She's like, but no, there's nothing against it. She's like, why would you ask that? And I was like, well, I've heard that there are some places that
Yeah.
it is restricted to collect rainwater. Um, if that's the case, I am so sorry.
I know.
Yeah, there's not really,
I guess you can hook it up to the hose.
yeah, that's what I was
then,
gonna say.
so
In that
yeah.
case, just set it up, connect it to your hose. It might be illegal to take the rainwater, but what you can do, those rain barrels are still a great holding tank for that water. You can fill up that tank, and then you can use that if you go on vacation, use it from the tank, or you can just use those timers that we said, that connect directly to your hose. That'll probably be the best way.
Okay, well, this brings us to a really good topic. So Angela was asking about what type of mulch we use around our plants. So, yes. So again, we've talked all of this about watering, but I do want to mention too
Yeah.
that whenever you are watering, you want to make sure to protect that plant. Make sure the water stays there. Make sure you're not having to water and keep watering and keep watering and keep watering.
Yeah.
You want to water as little as possible, and to do that, mulch is going to be your best friend. And so for me, I wish I had a really good example of it, but like I said, I'm going to be transplanting out my tomatoes and peppers and all of that.
Well, I mean, we're standing on mulch or sitting on mulch, so
Yep, we definitely are.
yep. Pretty much. I mean, any type of mulch.
Here's a really good example
There we go. Yeah.
of one of my beds. That this was last year. This was one of our 4x4 wooden raised beds of just a bunch of peppers that I had in there. And I went through and I mulched around the entire thing. I mean, I prefer to use anything I have that's laying around.
Yep.
We grab down here. Wood chips are always my best friend. I use a lot of wood chips in the garden. And you can get mulch for free too a lot of the times at local compost facilities, places like that, which is where we get quite a few of ours. And you can get some too at local compost specific places and all of that as well too. Um, and then there's also different things you can do. I see that there was somebody with allergies. So I would say we're gonna have to see what your triggers are too.
Yeah.
But
At that raised bed that you looked at before, we had a small chicken coop, so we used their chicken scraps as a mulch layer, and that's what we did.
Yeah, I do that with my bunny area too.
I've heard that bunny scrap is some of the best fertilizer.
It is amazing. Yes. So we use and I use a lot of pine shavings and things like that too. So if you have any sort of pine shaving, now you do have to be careful sometimes with that because it can make the soil a little bit more acidic, but most of my plants are going to be just fine with it.
Is it straw? I think it's straw or hay that they say recommend not to use because it'll seed in the garden.
Yeah, so you can use it because it will insulate your plants, but just be aware that they're you might get weeds from it.
Yeah.
So you want to be really careful with using things like that. I'm generally pretty careful. Or if you're using grass clippings and things like that, make sure that the grass wasn't going to seed already whenever you cut it.
Or make sure there's not any pesticides or unwanted fertilizers. It's getting very prevalent, especially in the manures and the composts. Just make sure it's from a trusted source. I think even they're finding horses who are live next to pasture or live next to fields that are sprayed or something, they're getting into their system. So just be kind of cautious on that. our sources are getting contaminated.
Yeah, we got burned by that one time because it was we were getting horse manure from somebody, but their horses were grazing on like fields like one time in the past. And so yeah, it was not good. It really affected our tomatoes especially too. So yeah. Yeah, just be careful, and just know your sources of compost that you're getting, and if possible do it yourself. I mean, even if you don't have like a bunch of land like we do here and we have all sorts of animals, you can still do bunnies. I mean, we did bunnies when we were living in the city and had a small backyard, so you can still do that, and they have one of the best compost, and you can use them like their area as mulch whenever you're going through. Like, there's so many things that you can do even if you don't have a lot of property, a lot of space, and all of that.
You could also do. There's also great plants like cover crops. I know crimson clover. That's great. Acts as a mulch. It actually pulls in nitrogen and feeds it back into the soil. So you can look up. There's many ways to do it naturally with different plants as well. That'll add a nice mulch layer. You can do that route.
I wanted to call this out from Penny. This is a really good call too. Mulched leaves are really good too.
Everybody's got leaves.
Yep. And I will say, you might be able to see. So right here, yes, you can kind of see right behind him. If you can see where I'm pointing to the screen, like you guys can see where I'm pointing. Yeah. Yes, right there. I have my tomato cages set up. That's where I'm going to be planting my tomatoes. But I have a whole bunch of lettuce planted all along that strip right there, and I'm going to be using like that almost as like a living mulch, because it really helps to protect the soil and the tomato. Whenever it grows up a little bit, it's going to give a little bit of shade to the lettuce. So there's just going to be quite a few benefits right there. They live together great. So if I can get those lettuce to last a little bit longer into the summer, it'll be great too.
Harry says, I don't have. Well, Harry, I don't have trees, but I have leaves. So I'm sure there's somebody in the chat who will more than likely be more than happy for you to come by and pick up some leaves.
You know what? So when I lived in the city, we didn't really have leaves ourselves either, but I actually posted on the Nextdoor app, and I was like, hey, does anybody have like leaves that I can come collect and come get? And you wouldn't believe the amount of response I got. Everyone was like, yes, come take my leaves. I was like, done. I'll be right there.
Yeah, just like we said, I mean, check your local ag extensions, your local gardening communities. I mean, more likely than not, there's somebody out there who has supplies that you need that they're more than likely to just to give to you. So call them up.
Yeah, I mean, so long story short, yes, there's a lot of things that you can use as mulch, and it is really good to use some sort of mulch to protect the soil. It'll help to keep the soil temperature regulated so your plants won't get like overheated as fast or cold as fast too. It'll help to retain the moisture. So if you have any sort of like water restrictions, or if you aren't able to get out there as fast, like it's definitely something that I recommend. Okay. Yeah, good call out here. I use leaves as compost. Had mushroom compost over them in spring when it's planting time.
Man, yeah. I love mushroom compost. There's a new facility here in Oklahoma City called Fertile Ground. Shout out to them. They actually supply mushroom compost. I added it just a top dressing. I didn't even buy too much of it throughout all my beds. And I mean, by the end of the season, I mean, it had so many sprouts and spores of mushrooms. And you just till that right into your soil, and it's just great compost, great fertilizer. So I'm a big fan of mushroom compost. I attribute that a lot to my success in the garden. It's just having super, super healthy soil. They say if you see mushrooms growing, you can pretty much grow anything in that soil. So
nice.
Great stuff.
Well, I have a lot of mushrooms growing after our floods that we had going through our garden. Oh my gosh, we were going through and cleaning out the garden, and we just had, oh my gosh, they say it was a mess.
You just till those in, and they say it's great compost.
Well, good. But yeah, we had like pretty much, if you did not see the video, check it out. It was insane.
Yeah, it looked like this was a river.
It was a river going through our garden. It was a river. So like all of our mulch, like we're so low on mulch. You can kind of see like we're like empty mulch in places. It was just rushing, and I have like piles of mulch like oh man, yeah, it was a mess.
That jet. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw this one pop up. Can sprouts grow through mulch? So it does depend on how thick of a layer you use and what you use. But typically, it depends on what I'm mulching with. But typically, when I'm doing like things like wood chips and all that, like I will do it after the fact just to be more careful. But yes, they can definitely sprout through the mulch though too.
Well, the ducks, yes.
Ducks,
So
yes.
yes, ducks hockey for me. So how much do you generally need to top water if you're container gardening with pots, garden beds with water reservoirs? That's actually a really, really good question. So we're actually experimenting at the Smart Pot facility. We have a greenhouse on campus. We're experimenting with a product called Water Ups, and it is exactly what it is. So it's actually a reservoir that sits inside of a 30-gallon Smart Pot. And so I have not top watered, and I planted a pepper in there.
Mhm.
I have not top watered that pepper since January. So that reservoir there has a spout system, and it's probably like a 3-gallon reservoir that sits inside of a smart pot. And so the plant uptakes water through the bottom. So you do not water the top. And this is an Australian product.
Oh.
And and I asked them, well, I mean, every gardener here thinks this. What about like the top layer of soil that like dries up? And they say that actually acts like a mulch layer, and especially in the Australian heat, and that helps actually retain the moisture. So if you have a reservoir system under your plants in smart pots, you actually do not need to top water. And like I said, I mean, it's been months since I've top watered. The top layer is dry of soil. But if you stick your hand in, next time you're in there, do this. Next time when you stick your hand inside the soil, it is completely moist under like about an inch of soil. So if you have that set up, you have a reservoir system, you technically do not need to top water. I've grown microgreens where I just bottom water, and my plants that I have in those reservoirs, I just bottom water. And plants do amazing. I mean, in nature, they grab nutrients or water from the bottom. So I know that this method works because, like I said, we've had this sitting there. So yeah.
What was the name of that watering reservoir?
That reservoir is called Water Ups. You can check them out I know they're on Instagram. Water Ups. So they are not available in the United States just yet. They're available in Australia. But yep, if you have a reservoir system, kiddie pool system, if you put those smart pots, they'll soak up the water as much as they need. And they won't suck up too much. So it's amazing system. We're working on it, testing it out. Possibly can be a product that we one day have for gardeners to hopefully have mindless gardening.
Nice. Well, and you did bring up a really good point that I did want to make sure that I went back to was a really good way to tell if your plants even do need to water is to just simply stick your finger in the soil. And if you have at any point in there, if your finger is moist at all, then you're good. You're good to go. If it is completely dry all the way to your knuckle, then water. So that way you're not overwatering or underwatering too. I mean, it's just a really good way to keep track of how to know when to water.
We need a girl bot to have hands and do that for us.
I know, right? Wouldn't that be great? Okay. So we have just a few minutes left. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat. And I know Dale's been working in the background to get the winner pulled up for us. So just to remind you guys, one of you all lucky winners is going to get a free smart pot. It's purple too.
Well, we had to bring the purple.
Yes, purple for me.
Yep.
That's my favorite. And so you will be the lucky winner of a round raised bed smart pot. I use these all the time. And then also a 1-year free premium Seed to Spoon app subscription. So with that, you can get free shipping on all your orders. You get unlimited plants that you can log. You can send photos up to GrowBot for plant help or plant identification, pest identification. I literally use it in the garden like every day.
You can set up this round raised bed and have your whole garden identified there, and
Yeah.
figure out the perfect companion plants, what to grow in here and what not to grow in here.
Yep.
If I was a beginner gardener and I won this, I would definitely set up with a tomato, some marigolds in there, maybe some onion sprouts. Who's going to be the lucky winner?
Okay, let's see. Let me pull it up. Congratulations to Jackie.
Woo-hoo.
So send us an email at info@seedtospoon.net and we'll get you all hooked up. Sorry, that's a really loud one going over top of us right now. That's the problem with doing these outside. You never know when. They're always very active, like right at lunchtime too.
No, this is.
So.
I think it's literally the biggest Air Force base, and like they have like the big radar planes with like the satellites sitting on top of them. We got some really, really unique planes out here, so pretty cool.
Okay, we had just a couple of questions real quick that I wanted to come back to. Well, this was a really good call out too.
Growbot's an early riser, man.
Yep, that's perfect timing though.
Yeah, no, it
for
is.
Your plants.
Yep.
That is. That's very good.
Growbot's telling us to get up and get out there.
So, Jessica, honestly, it depends on what seed it is that you're growing, because some seeds take a really long time. Some of them are really fast. So in the Seed to Spoon app, if you have the Seed to Spoon app, check out like which plant it is. So if it's like carrot seeds or something like that, look up carrots growing guide, and it'll tell you on there the range for when a seed should germinate. And if you're outside of that germination window, you may be wanting to replant. But that's underneath every single growing guide that we have, is how long the seed should germinate. Okay.
Especially if it's a pepper. If it's a pepper, they usually are the ones that take the longest.
Oh my gosh.
Who knows what you have.
And especially if you don't have like super warm soil, peppers can take forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're struggling, add like a heat mat under it. That could be a big help.
Or just be outside right now.
Yeah.
Woo! Yep. It's hot. I need to go get a drink after this.
Yeah.
It's hot.
I think we're losing our shade. I think
we are. That's what it is. It's the sun.
We got to move the tree.
Yes. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. This was super fun. We're going to start working too on getting some of my garden automated. It's exciting.
I know, it's going to be really fun. Hopefully, you guys learn from it, and you guys get a little bit more in tune and able to go out there and start your own drip irrigation. It makes gardening so much easier and such a breeze. We don't have to be out there, 110 degree weather. And
well, you know what? Even if you don't have time, you can set up sprinklers and then automate the timers on the sprinklers too.
Yep.
So yeah, just run them first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, thank you all so much. And like I said, if you're watching this after the fact too, or if you all have any additional questions, feel free to pop them into the chat, and I'll come back in and answer as many as I can.
Thank you, guys.